Hello and welcome. This is RueshTV, and I'm bringing you another guide. I've made a switch to Shaman, as I said in a previous video for Mythic Plus build and progression, but I figured I'd talk mainly about Shamans as a whole. This guide is mainly going to be about rating specs. There's also going to be probably a little talk about Mythic Plus and whatever specs would be beneficial to you. To get us going, we're going to talk about the talent spec that I use in Nighthold, a talent hold spec that I plan on using as well. Changed it up a little bit since my last run, and I have videos showing my last normal progression as well as a couple mythics, but for this is the talent that I go with. So under the 15 tier between Undulation, Unleashed Life, and Torrent, I still go with Torrent, even though that there was a nerf to Torrent recently, back in 7.1. I still go with it. It's an increase of the initial heal from Riptide by 30%. A case can be made for some AoE intensive fights like Scorpion and such, that Unleashed Life, if paired up properly, will be beneficial to healing, but I tend to go with Torrent the most. Undulation, if you're doing single target healing, will be perfect because every third heal will be healed for an additional 50%. But as it is for now, just go with Torrent. Tier 30 is pretty much a no-brainer for you if you plan on using Grace a little bit more than anything. It just reduces the cooldown by 60 seconds and then increases the movement speed by 20% while it's active, and also increases the speed of Ghost Wolf as well. Your guild might actually ask for Windrush Totem, but personal cooldown sake, Graceful Spirit is the best to use. For level 45 talent, Lightning Surge Totem is probably the best of the utility talents on here. Voodoo Totem and Earthgrab Totem are okay for PvP, but for raiding and for Mythic Pluses, Lightning Surge is the way to go. 60, this one right here is probably going to be a real big toss-up between what to go. Ancestral Guidance, 20% of your damage and healing is converted to healing up to 3 nearby party members is actually really good with your Cloudburst Totem, but then also Deluge is huge because Chain Heal heals an additional 20% on the targets you're healing that is affected by Riptide or Healing Rain. So if you keep healing rain down on your melee and you're chain healing your melee crap on AoE fights, that's going to be huge. But also if you're using your Cloudburst Totem on cooldown and you know that you're going to hit a pretty good Cloudburst and you Ancestral Guidance, you chain heal that, I mean, it's really a toss-up as to your play style. For me, I'm actually going to give it a shot. I'm going to play around with Ancestral Guidance for some fights, but for Scorpion, I'll probably keep Deluge up. But for now, I'm going to probably play around with Ancestral Guidance. Your level 75 talents, you really just have 2 to choose from. Earth Shield Totem summons a totem with about 3 million health, and then it does the absorb on all the targets within that totem. It's all redirected to the totem until it gains 300 or 3 million hit points. So it's basically like an absorb. It's redirection. We do a lot of redirection absorbs as a shaman. Another one here, it's actually pretty good too, is that the targets you heal with Healing Wave, Healing Surge, Chain Heal, or Riptides, initial health is gained 10% of their health for 10 seconds. So if you constantly keep the tank up with Riptide, then the tank will have basically a permanent 10% increase of health from your Ancestral Vigor, which is pretty good in most situations, unless you keep Earth and Shield down for redirection. So it's really a toss-up again between these two. But I think on AoE fights, having the Earth Shield Totem, you can redirect a lot of the damage on AoE fights. Next one down, it really just depends on the quality of a player you are versus having extra cooldowns and all that stuff. So Bottomless Depth, your Resurgence is always triggered when you heal a target below 60%. This actually helps your mana. If you are struggling with your mana and you're trying to increase the mana regen, Bottomless Depth is actually going to be really helpful, especially since in the raid healing, you aim to heal people who are under 60% health. You thrive to heal people who are under 60% health. So Bottomless Depths actually just is a talent that helps with mana. So if you're struggling in Mythic Pluses or you're struggling in raids to keep your mana up, that is the talent that you want to grab. Now, if you want something that's more beneficial to the raid, if you are not struggling with mana, then you have either a choice of Cloudburst Totem or Echo of the Elements. For me, I actually like the Cloudburst Totem. I use it on cooldown. I just toss it down while you're healing. Your direct healing will actually benefit the Cloudburst Totem. So it collects the heals that are direct heals. As soon as the time expires, then it'll spread out everyone around you, and it'll heal all the targets, which is actually pretty fantastic. But also, if there is a huge movement involved, like let's say you're doing Elisande and you're always moving, the Echo of the Elements is probably going to be your better option. Riptide, Healing Tide Totem all have 2 charges now. So if you team Echo the Elements up with Ancestral Vigor, then multiple targets can have, 10% hit points from the Riptide or the Healing Chain Heal. So Echo could be good for more movement fights. Cloudburst Totems if you're, doing AoE healing, which most of the fights you're going to be doing. I use it for everything. I don't really switch to Echo for anything but Mythic Pluses. And then for the 100 talent, there's really only 2 talents that you could possibly go to in raids, and it really just depends on your playstyle. Most people would go for the High Tide, which is the chain heal bounces to an additional target, and then there's a fall off, which is reduced by half. So it's really huge for AoE healing. And then there's Ascendance, where it gives you a Water Ascendant form for 15 seconds, and then all the heal that you deal is duplicated and distributed through all the nearby allies, which is huge. So you can team that up with your Cloudburst Totem if you want to do that, or if you want to just use it strictly for Mythic Pluses, that's the way to go. There was a 7.1.5 change for Wellspring, but I still haven't really found the situation where I prefer that over High Tide. I think there's only one fight in Nighthold that would even be worth it to me, and that would be Scorpion, because we're all grouped up in the middle, everyone's in range. If you stand in the back, you can hit Wellspring and hit everyone in that conal effect. But I just haven't really played with it, and I don't know if too many people have played with it. Alright, so that is basically the raid spec, and I'm pretty sure it's cookie cutter. Anything other than that would be, relatively, close. I think Deluge is cookie cutter, Ancestral Vigor, so Torrent, Graceful Spirit, Lightning Surge, Deluge, Ancestral Vigor, Cloud Burst, and High Tide, all cookie cutter spec. It's also just basically the high intensity raiding chain heal build. Now, if you just strictly heal for Mythic Pluses, there's going to be some changes because you're not really going to chain heal as much in your Mythic Plus. So for the level 15, you're going to go with Undulation. Every third heal for Healing Wave or Healing Surge is 50% additional. You'd still probably stick with Graceful Spirit or go with Windrush Totem, especially if you're just aiming for time runs. You're probably not going to be using the Spirit Walker's Grace as much, so probably Windrush Totem. Lightning Surge is going to stay the same. Crashing Waves is probably what you're going to be using, which you may switch in and out for Ancestral Guidance. It really just depends on your playstyle. But Crashing Waves, it's just your Riptide gains an additional stack of Tidal Waves, and so your Healing Waves and your Healing Surges are quicker as you go through Mythic Plus. So that's usually what I go with. Earth Shield Totem, I would still go with that. For then Mythic Pluses, the Echo of the Elements, just the additional Riptide, and the additional Healing Strike Totem. And then the last talent, most likely Ascendance. I just like that extra cooldown, especially if you're pushing high level Mythic Pluses, just having 2 or 3 cooldowns: Healing Tide Totem, Spirit Link Totem, and Ascendance. So for runs, it's actually pretty helpful. Just pop it on boss fights and just Healing Surge yourself or the tank, and everybody gets heals. I made a video on that, I can link it right here. It's basically just shows the use of these talents and a little bit of description about it. But essentially, this is my run for Mythic Pluses, as well as switching between these two Sidelight Spirit Walker Skurs. That's it for the talents. Let's take a look at our weapon here. And so this is basically a full weapon. I'm at 38. Been at 25 for about a week now, so I've been putting points into Flow of the Tides. So let me switch over to a calculator so I can just show you the path that you would want to take to level this up if, in fact, you're going to be using this guide. Or quickly, if you have the 7.1 where you have a tune who is at 25, you pretty much shoot up in item level or shoot up in this artifact power quickly anyways, but I'll just go ahead and show you this now. Alright, here we are in Wowhead. I could share this link, probably a couple links for the actual progression, but this is an empty clean slate. This is what happens when you first get your weapon when you hit 110. It asks you to put a point into Gift of the Queen, which is a pretty good cooldown to use, and I'll definitely talk about that in one of my other videos. So we'll just go ahead and put points in there. So I'm going to show you the rating progression through here, and then I'll probably talk about the Mythic Plus build, but the end goal really is to get to the Flow of the Tides. Alright, so obviously the first point is going to the Gift of the Sea, increase all healing you do by 6%, no brainer, and then you're going to want to work towards Queen's Decree. So you're going to put 3 points in Buffeting Waves, which increases the healing done by wave and surge by 15%, 3 points in Wave Crash, which increases the rate of which healing Stream Totem heals by 30%. Queen's Ascendance, with direct heals, critical, reduce the cast time of your next heal by 15%, and then you'll get Queen's Decree. This is the basic progression, the first moves that everyone should be taking, regardless of what you mainly do, if it's raids or Mythic Pluses. Next, you're going to work your way up the left side of the weapon with Tidal Chains. Tidal Waves reduce cast time, increases critical effect chance by 30%. And then Pull of the Sea increases the healing done by Riptide by 15%. This is actually where you split for between raids and Mythic Pluses. Right? So the end goal for raids is you want to get to Tidal Pulls, and then Mythic Pluses will be for cumulative upkeep. So it's just a quick 3 points here into Empowered Droplets, increase the healing done by Healing Rain and Critical Strike by 6%, and then pop 1 point into Tidal Waves, which Riptide has a chance to summon a Tidal Totem at your target's location, which heals nearby allies for a certain amount of percent, 7 times 24% of your spell power. From there, you want to do Ghost in the Mist, Sense of Urgency, which does the increase all healing you do during heroism, Floodwaters, which increase critical stride of your chain heal by 10%, then cumulative upkeep. From there, you have all 3 of your golden dragons. You might as well just make your way across. It doesn't matter for these final 5 points what you put into. You just make your way down. Servant of the Queen, reduce cooldown of reincarnation by 10 minutes for each point. This is actually fantastic. And then the Caress of the Tide Mother, cast healing, Stream Totem, reduces all damage you take by 10%. And then you can finish up with Refreshing Currents, increases the mana refunded by resurgence by 50%. When chain heal, it critically heals. So that benefits your chain heal a lot. You could probably get this over, the Servant of the Queen, however order you want to do this. But that actually helps out because resurgence doesn't affect chain heal all that much. So it just kind of helps out for your raid healing. From there, we just go Flow of the Tides. The first point, Flow of the Tides, gives you 5% healing. After that, it just goes up by 0.5. As it goes up to 20 points, you have 15%. So Flow of the Tides is definitely good. It just depends on which way you want to go. It depends on which golden artifact you go for. So this is essentially the artifact weapon when it gets up to 54. Now let's return to see some stat weights. All right, and lastly, one other thing that really comes up in channels, Discord channel at least, is what should you do about stats? Um, and one thing that I've really noticed about stats is it really just depends on the type of healer that you are, and also where you are with the raid group that you are, the composition. I run with a god healer, druid, and then a really beefy monk heal, and so a lot of people are topped off anyways. But there come situations where I do reign supreme with topping people off. Um, but that's all manufactured into the mastery of it. All right, so ideally the stat rotation or the stat priority for a Resto Shaman is going to be as following: intellect. You need intellect. Every piece of gear is going to have intellect on it, and higher item levels are going to have more intellect on it. So you want to focus on higher item level items. All right. For the actual weapon itself, I am going with the highest possible item level that I can, and then just kind of benefiting from the effects that I get from them. All right, there are definitely better ones out there, but I got 295 here, 280, 275, and 865. All right, so I have like an 895, an 875, and an 865. I definitely can get better relic powers, but the item level just helps, with the increased item level for the artifact weapon, and you just get more intellect from it. So, just getting the item level is beneficial because of the int increase. Then it goes as following. Mastery is going to be the first and foremost thing that you want to grab. Every piece of gear should have mastery on it. You're really looking for about 100 mastery, 100% mastery. And sometimes you can get it, sometimes you can't. I have not been lucky with legendaries, so my mastery is a little low. My haste is crazy high. But next on the list to get would be your crit strike, and then haste, followed by versatility. Right now I have 92% mastery, which helps with deep healing. Right here, deep healing increases healing from your spells up to 91% based on the current health of the target. Lower health targets are healed more. So deep healing is huge. That's why Resto Shamans really, 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 really want to have mastery. And then crit is the second one because of resurgence. Your direct heal criticals refund percentage of your mana, 1% from healing wave, 0.6% from healing surge, riptide, and 0.25% from chain heal. A lot of people like to weave healing waves into raids. Me personally, if everyone is in need of heals, just chain heal away. Otherwise, just spot heal with healing wave. If you have, any type of tidal waves, and the 1 second heal isn't going to be detrimental. It actually will benefit your generation of mana. But if people really need the heals, just go with the chain heal. Alright, so that's basically it for stats. You just want to aim for essentially 100% or more on mastery, which I do not have. And then you want to aim for between 24% and 30% crit strike. Obviously, the more crit strike you have, the better off you're going to be. And then haste, you can pretty much have 0 haste and be okay. But I have about 14% haste because of my legendaries and a couple of the gear pieces that I have. So that's basically the Shaman guide. The next video that I'm going to post is just going to be macros and describing my UI. And so if you want to check that out, that would be awesome. I would go into depth of what macros, what add-ons, and what everything that I use for my UI, especially this lovely WeakAura that I use up here, which I will definitely give credit to the creator because I get it on Wago. So thank you for watching. Just let me know in the comments if there's anything I can improve. And like always, thank you for watching.